Live from the Sky News Weather Centre, this is the 10-minute briefing.
Good morning and happy Friday. Thanks for joining us here on Sky News Weather. Welcome to the first day of winter. I'm Rachel Rays. This is our Chief Meteorologist, Tom Saunders.
Yes, and on the briefing this morning, well, it's the first day of winter. We're going to wrap up autumn. For most of Australia, it was warm and dry. Frosty start to the winter, though, and also we'll take a look at the hazardous surf along the New South Wales coastline.
Speaking of hazardous surf, let's have a look at what that's been looking like. The Sydney coastline. Now, this is what it was looking like at Bondi Beach earlier on today. Tom, what do you make of those waves? There's someone kite surfing there, I think?
Indeed there is, but it looks nasty. It's choppy, it's rough. We've got close to gale-force southerly winds right now. Now, the offshore Sydney wave buoys had a maximum wave overnight in excess of 9 metres. It's dropped slightly over the last couple of hours, but we're expecting average swells of 5 metres over the next few days.
I can't say I know much about kite surfing, but it looks like that guy's having a really, or girl's having a really good shot at it, Tom. Good conditions for kite surfing. Do you know much about it?
Well, you know, anything with a kite, you want the wind, don't you? It's one of the only times you would want it to be windy if you're at the beach.
This is true. I don't have a kite. Maybe I should get one and try it out today. All right, let's take a look at the forecast for what's happening in the New South Wales coast. As you mentioned, Tom, we do have very windy conditions, and you can see here those very windy conditions, the red winds. What kind of winds are they, Tom?
Yeah, the red arrows show gale-force winds. Now, we've had gusts on the coast overnight, even up to 100 kilometres per hour. As that low moves away through the Tasman over the weekend, the winds will gradually ease back, but we are expecting a peak in the swell heights over the next 48 hours. So average swells are hitting 5 metres. Your maximum waves are typically about double the average, so up to 10 metres for the central and northern part of the New South Wales coast. Peaking probably late Friday, early Saturday. Notice that darker blue shading there along the north coast of New South Wales on Saturday morning. So we could see even larger waves tomorrow morning compared to what we did have this morning. Now, as a result of the huge surf, we have a severe weather warning in force. It goes from the southwest rocks, which is just north of Port Macquarie, down towards Ulladulla. Now, it's the south-facing beaches where we could see coastal erosion. That's why we have the warning in place. But, Rachel, the other threat is some coastal flooding. We've got massive swells right now. They're being driven onto the coast by strong winds. That could even lead to coastal flooding at the high tide, which is due at roughly 10 p.m. this evening.
When will we see this start to decrease, the tides?
Well, the high tide is due at 10 p.m. and then, of course, you have your low tide, and then we'll have another high tide roughly 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and the swells will be just as large as what we're looking at today. So possibly tomorrow we could see another warning for possible flooding near the coast. So we could see the water level even up to half a metre above the normal highest tide of the year. So just a bit of flooding for those coastal areas.
Okay, when you say flooding for coastal areas, because typically we talk about river flooding and flash flooding, coastal flooding, what can people expect? What are they going to be experiencing?
Well, up to half a metre, so we're talking about that much above the normal highest tide of the year. So you might find the walkways, for example, right along the coast could be flooded. Or if you have a property, for example, down at Manly, some of those properties get very close to the water. Some of the larger waves breaking over the top of the rocks perhaps even could cause some inundation of those coastal properties.
Well, we have seen at some of the eastern beaches of Sydney that the walking track there, was it 2 years ago, I think it was nearly now, about this time 2 years ago, caused a huge amount of coastal erosion, and it still hasn't been fixed by the council. We're still waiting for that one, hopefully soon. So I hope that doesn't happen to any other areas, but it is certainly a possibility. All right, let's have a look now. It's been a very chilly start to winter for many areas around Australia. But this is what it was looking like in the western suburbs of Brisbane. Amberley dropped to negative 0.2 degrees this morning. That is looking so icy on the ground there, Tom. I thought that was a view from a plane looking down at clouds when I first saw this photo.
Yeah, even Queensland gets frost, and Alice Springs was below freezing. Now, the air temperature doesn't have to be below freezing for frost, because the air temperature is warmer than the surface temperature. So if you've got an air temperature like we saw in Western Brisbane below freezing, that's enough for a severe frost. And as we saw there, a thick coating of ice. Get used to it. We've got more cold nights on the way.
Speaking of more cold nights on the way, what's going to be happening tonight in terms of the temps, Tom?
Well, we have clear skies, we have light winds, which means heat radiates away from the surface. Those temperatures will plummet tonight once the sun goes down. The darker blue shading there shows temperatures dropping close to freezing. As a result, severe frost is likely again through inland Tasmania, inland parts of Victoria. Ballarat was below freezing this morning, through much of New South Wales and extending up towards the central interior.
Well, it's a chilly start to winter, but let's go back just one season because we just have finished autumn. It was a very dry autumn, but it was also a very warm autumn. What have you got to tell us about this, Tom?
It was not a good autumn for Australia. We needed more rainfall. I mean, it's not too bad having the warm temperatures. Everyone enjoys going to the beach if you're by the coastline, but it's rainfall that we really missed. This map shows the rain deciles through the season of autumn. Now, where you have the red shading, the rainfall was below average. That's most of Australia. The darkest red shading shows where it was the driest autumn on record. That's the south coast of WA and also small parts of western New South Wales. I'm going to give you a stat here that shows you exactly how dry it's been. Cobar, through the season of autumn, this is in northwest New South Wales, only 4.6 millimetres of rain for the whole season. The average is 95 millimetres. It was the driest autumn on record. We have data back to 1881, so we're talking about almost 140 years worth of data here.
What can we expect for winter going forward?
Well, the Bureau just released their outlook and it showed that it's likely to be drier than normal for most of Australia. The good news is I don't agree with it. I don't know where they've come up with this. We're not in El Nino. We don't have a negative Indian Ocean dipole. They're the usual culprits for below average rain. They're talking about it being drier than normal because the Tasman Sea is warmer than normal, but it's warmer than normal by about half a degree. It's not a lot. So I think there's hope. I don't think that, that farmers, according to the BOM, there's less than 20% chance the Murray Basin will see above average rain in winter. I think that's too low.
Well, I hope you are correct, Tom Saunders. All right, we're going to go to a very short break now, but stick with us. We'll be back in just 60 seconds with some international weather news, the cleanups of some floods in order.